Here we are at the Games Convention 2007 in Leipzig, Germany. Now, this is the special EA Business Lounge, and as you can see, it's kind of an exclusive gathering where a lot of the top-tier press and marketing and different salespeople come to check out EA's special secret lineup of titles that they don't show to the public. Now, for Battlecast Primetime fans, we're actually going to take you behind closed doors to see what Command & Conquer 3 Kane's Wrath is all about. So let's have a look. Now, as you can see, typically you're not allowed to film back here, but for Battlecast Primetime fans, let's have a sneak peek.
Welcome to Command & Conquer 3 Kane's Wrath. This is the first expansion pack to Command & Conquer 3 Tiberium Wars, which came out earlier this spring. We're doing a lot of cool things in this expansion pack. First and foremost, we're adding an entire new campaign that spans 20 years of the Tiberium universe, going from the end of the Second Tiberium War, where Command & Conquer Tiberian Sun Firestorm left off, taking us through the events of Command & Conquer 3 and also beyond that in the storyline. So let's jump into the gameplay. I'll show you examples of some of these modified units as well as some of those new units that you just saw in that teaser. So let's go right in. So as we come into this yellow zone environment, you'll see a familiar unit, and this is our Zone Trooper, which was a mainstay of GDI's army in C&C3. Unfortunately, the Zone Trooper didn't have any defense against aircraft units, so we're now introducing our Zone Raider. And the Zone Raider comes with shoulder-mounted anti-air rockets, which allow her to, defend herself a little bit out there in the field against aircraft. She also has one of our brand new weapons, and that's the Sonic Cannon. This is essentially shoots a sonic grenade that then explodes in an area effect attack. So those enemies who like to spam lots of units against you and just pile lots of units close together, the Zone Raider will be able to chew those up quite easily. So she's going to be actually a unique sub-faction unit that only that specific sub-faction will get. So if that's the kind of style that you like, you might want to choose that sub-faction. I'm following this convoy truck as I destroyed that Nod convoy. Granger denoted this truck as an objective, so I'm going to follow it. But unfortunately, I've come across some Black Hand troops, and although my Zone Raiders are a bit more powerful than my Zone Troopers, it doesn't really change their place in the combat chain. They still fit that role. So against those Black Hand, they're still pretty vulnerable. And to solve that, we're introducing one of our brand new units. This is the GDI Hammerhead gunship. And unlike the Orc and the Firehawk, which everyone loved, the Orc and the Firehawk had to go back to the base every few minutes and rearm at the airfield. The Hammerhead doesn't need to do that. It comes with twin autocannons that have unlimited ammunition, allowing them to stay out in the field as long as possible. This is actually one of the units that the fans really requested on the boards after C&C3, so we were happy to implement it and kind of fill that gap in GDI's combat chain. Unfortunately, every unit has their weakness, and the Hammerheads is also against aircraft. It doesn't have any natural anti-air defenses. In fact, GDI as a whole in C&C3 didn't have a very strong anti-air game. So to fill that gap, we're adding another one of our brand new units, and this is the GDI Slingshot anti-aircraft vehicle. So there's several awesome things about the Slingshot. First off, he comes with these quad cannons that are able to just decimate enemy aircraft. Enemy aircraft are going to be absolutely no match for this unit. And the other really cool thing about this guy is that he's a hover tank. So just like we're bridging some of that fiction between the Tiberian Sun era and C&C3, we're also bridging some of that technology. So we're bringing back that hover technology, which fans have requested for quite a long time. And now, as a hover tank, the anti-air Scout is a bit faster than your average treaded tank like the Predator or the Mammoth. But unfortunately, that results in them having a bit lower armor. So as they come across enemy troops, they're not going to be able to hold their own. So they're actually more of a support type of unit, able to chase down those aircraft, but they're not really solo type units. And the other unfortunate thing about the AA Scout is that, well, it's only AA. So as it comes up against these ground troops, it really can't hold its own. So to take out some of these Nod ground troops, I'm going to bring in one of our unique sub-faction upgrades. So this is our standard Orca. You remember him obviously from C&C3, but he has that sonic grenade that you saw in those Zone Raiders that again explodes in that area effect bubble. So if you like using that type of strategy against your enemy, you're playing against those players who like to spam lots of units, maybe you want to choose this sub-faction and get those extra armaments for your units. And as I continue to move throughout this mission, I'm going to come across this Nod base, and unfortunately it's heavily defended by anti-aircraft turrets. So my Orcas aren't really going to be able to crack this base. I'm going to need to bring in a mix of some of our new units. So as we go back, you'll see I'm bringing in more of those Hammerhead gunships and also new units that I'll introduce in a few seconds. But the other really cool thing about the Hammerhead that I didn't mention before is that it can actually garrison another infantry unit inside. So as I move these different units in, the Hammerhead is going to gain the extra firepower from those infantry units. So if I put zone troopers in there, it'll be able to fire rail guns down from the sky. If I put grenadiers in there, they're going to chuck grenades out the window. And if I put maybe some rocket troops in there, it might actually give it a little bit of anti-air defense, since rockets can shoot both ground and air. So you have a lot of customizable options with this new Hammerhead unit that's really going to make it versatile for GDI's air game. So I won't be able to take in these Hammerheads just yet due to those NOD anti-aircraft turrets. I'm going to need something on the ground to take those out. And to do that, we're going to use another one of our brand new units. This is the GDI Shatterer. And again, this is a hover vehicle to kind of bring some of that technology back. Again, makes it a bit faster, but a bit more lightly armored. And the Shatterer is really cool because it actually takes the sonic emitter weapon that was a popular defensive weapon in C&C3, and now we've put it on an actual vehicle to make it mobile in the field. And if you remember, the really cool thing about the sonic weapon is that if you can line up your shots, you can actually hit multiple targets in one shot. So for those players who are really up on their micro and able to position their units in the right areas, you can actually take out multiple targets with one shot. This is going to make it a pretty powerful offensive unit, but again, it's going to be fairly lightly armored, so you're going to want to defend it with some of those heavier vehicles on GDI. And so now that I've taken out these anti-aircraft turrets, I can bring in those Hammerheads to start raining some hell down on this NOD base. And as I bring in these Hammerheads, you're going to notice some really cool things happening. All those infantry weapons are also firing off, along with those twin autocannons. So as you see those rail guns shooting down, you can hear that familiar commando machine gun that's firing down. If I were to put snipers in here, they would be able to take out infantry really fast. Those grenades are flying out the windows. So an extremely versatile air game has finally come to GDI, and we think that GDI players are really going to love this new strategy and tactic they actually have. And now that I've come across this base and found my final target, which is this NOD Conyard, Granger has awarded me one of our new support powers. This is an orbital strike that fires high kinetic energy projectiles down from space to rain down on enemy forces and enemy structures. It's going to be a pretty powerful late game power for GDI, and something that we think the fans are going to like. So all these new changes to GDI is going to be really cool. It adds a lot more customizability, a lot more versatility to the units, and also bringing back some of that Tiberian Sun technology, which is really cool finally for C&C3. So now that I've shown you some of the new GDI toys you're going to have in the expansion, let's jump over to NOD and I'll show you some of those cool new NOD units. So as we come into this environment, you're going to notice kind of a new look. This is a red zone, but unlike all the Italian red zones that you saw in C&C3, this is actually a blue zone that's been converted into a red zone over time due to extreme Tiberium infestation. You're going to see a lot of new environments in C&C3 Kane's Wrath, because we're going to be taking you global with that global conquest mode. So you'll see environments in Russia and China, Southern Africa. You're finally going to get to see the Tiberium globe at its fullest with C&C3 Kane's Wrath. And we're very happy to introduce one of our brand new NOD units. These are the Awakened. This is a NOD cyborg unit that makes a return from the Tiberian Sun era yet again. And these are actually remnants of Cabal's former army that have risen to help NOD in the Third Tiberian War. They come with a machine gun that's actually welded onto their left arm, which is going to make them an extremely powerful anti-infantry unit. They're going to be no match. Zone troopers are going to be no match against these new cyborgs. So we actually released a concept art of these guys in the previous C&C TV footage, and I know the boards have been going crazy about who are these cyborg units. So they are indeed cyborgs, and they're back for now Kane's Wrath. So you can expect again to see more of that technology from the Tiberian Sun era coming back over to the new C&C3. And now that I've cleared out the middle of this map, I can continue to bring in some more reinforcements. So this is another one of our brand new units. This is the Spectre Artillery. And the really cool thing about these guys is that they're stealth. So playing into that NOD, hit and run stealth gameplay, they're stealth just like the stealth tanks or your Vertigos. So I can sneak them around and this GDI convoy isn't going to be able to see them. So I'm going to try and set up a bit of an ambush here and see if I can get these GDI vehicles in a pinch. So as I line up my Spectres using formation preview, this would usually be kind of a tough situation because GDI vehicles are really tough. But the cyborgs also come with a secondary unit ability, which is an EMP cannon, which is welded to their right arm. So they're able to disable enemy vehicles, which is going to then allow my Spectres to uncloak and hit them from behind. So you can see this combination of a new unit ability and a new unit has allowed me to potentially win a battle that I probably would have lost in C&C3. This is going to be a strategy that might, help players against some of those GDI mammoth tanks, juggernauts, or maybe those Skrin alien tripods. So, Nod's going to get some new kind of finesse gameplay tools to bolster their arsenal in C&C3 Kane's Wrath. And obviously this GDI convoy was going somewhere, so as we continue to explore the map, we find this GDI base up in the northwestern corner. And it looks pretty heavily defended. They have some watchtowers, guardian cannons, you can see lots of infantry in here. So obviously the first step I want to take out this base is to nullify its power supply. So to do that, I'm going to use another kind of stealthy tactic that we're adding into Kane's Wrath. So you see here some familiar units from C&C3. This was the Shadow Team, which was an infiltration unit, and we've given them a new unit ability. This is to deploy an artillery beacon anywhere on the map. So as I move these shadows in, you're going to see that I deploy that beacon, which is stealth, and so the enemy cannot see it unless they have some of those stealth detectors. Now, once I've deployed that beacon, it allows my Spectres to bombard anywhere in the radius of that beacon. So if the enemy doesn't see it, I can potentially launch artillery strikes from anywhere on the map. So I'm going to go ahead and do that to target the enemy power plant and see if I can take out this base's power.
They die so brightly.
So now that I've successfully taken out the base's power, you can see their ion cannon went down, their defenses have now become disabled, so it's going to allow me to finally mount an assault on this GDI base. And to do that, we're going to use another one of our brand new units. This is the Nod Reckoner Armored Personnel Carrier. And the cool thing about this guy is that he can actually garrison 2 units inside of him. I think he's the only vehicle that can actually garrison 2 units inside, so that's pretty new. And then, in addition, he has a bit of a unique power in terms of being an APC. When he's moving around, those infantry cannot fire out. So it's not exactly like the Hammerhead, so that kind of sucks. But he does have a cool ability where he can deploy into a bunker state. And this is a one-time use, so you have to make a really strategic decision as to when you want to use this. But once he deploys into a bunker, he actually gains a 3rd garrison slot, and then all those units can fire out as they were in a normal APC. So you can move this either into an offensive kind of blockade run position, move it into a territory, and then just start blowing out from all the hatches, or maybe you want to use it more defensively as an extra defense on your base. So it gives you, again, those strategic options and customizability that we really want in our new units in C&C3 Kane's Wrath. So you'll notice I loaded up these Reckoners with cyborgs, with Black Hand. This is another one of our new sub-faction units, the Tiberium Trooper, who has liquid Tiberium strapped to his back to shoot out a liquid Tiberium goo at the enemy. And I'm going to go ahead and try and just blockade run into this GDI base. These Zone Troopers might prove a problem, but I've actually upgraded my Reckoners with Dozer Blades, which allows me to just crush those heavy infantry, so they're not going to be any problem for me. And now that I'm in this base, you're going to notice that none of the units are firing out. But once I deploy these bunkers, you're going to notice some really cool fireworks. So you'll see that once I deploy these units, the treads fold down, the front and rear hatches blow out, and now all those units can start firing out with their different weapons. You can see some of our new lasers. That's actually an upgrade on those awakened cyborgs. You can see that Tiberium weapon, shooting out from those Tiberium troopers. Black Hand are taking out the structures. So again, just an absolute mix of units that you're able to do via this Reckoner and some of your infantry. Again, it's kind of how we're also bringing infantry a bit more into the late game, allowing them to be a little more powerful by giving them some of that extra added defense. I can also continue bombarding this base with those artillery, and so being able to take out this GDI base, I was able to use some new tactics and new strategies that Nod didn't have before. And again, just like the GDI players with their new units, we think Nod players are also going to love the new units that we're bringing to Command & Conquer 3 Kane's Wrath. So we have a lot of cool features in this expansion pack. We're really excited. We've taken a lot of feedback from the fans, as you can see in some of our units, and bringing some of that old technology back. Overall, the expansion pack will be out in spring 2008. We can't wait for you to get your hands on it.